Morning. We have the governor of the Gila River Indian Community, Governor Rhodes.
My involvement was to make an address to the group here. We have representatives from other tribes and other youth councils that have evolved out of that initial. The initial youth council started here on Gila River in 1988, and one of our present council members, who was a youth at the time and attending Mesa Community College, was the one person that was very much involved in initiating that program. Having come to me when I was lieutenant governor at the time, and expressing his interest in creating a youth council to be able to bring the youth out and do what you're witnessing now. And back in those days in 1988, there was a lot of shyness among the young people, and before that, even more so shyness was there because our young people just weren't able to come out and speak to people like you see them doing now. They've broken that barrier, and it comes from the fact that a lot of them have gone to not only the reservation schools, there's a few reservations that have local schools, but to the boarding schools. And then finally, they break through to public schools. And that's when the shyness really began to break and go away because of their mingling with all the other nationalities, white, black, Mexican, and whatever you have in the public schools. Now you approach a youth council or any youth group in any area right now, and there is no shyness, maybe a little, but not like it used to be. They're very outspoken, they express themselves and their ideas very well and clear as to what their desires are. And that's what it's all about, really, because the youth of today are the future leaders of our tribes. And the best thing that I appreciate here and like to see is that the youth council is representative of several of the tribes around us. It's not all Gila River, it's Salt River, Akchin, Tohono O'odham, the San Carlos, and I don't know where other tribes have come in on invitation. So it's been real good for the growth of our young people, communication wise.
Governor, we have there is scheduled this afternoon a group of individuals from the University of New Mexico, and two of them who are going to be um, giving a presentation is Robert Cruz, who is Tohono O'odham, Philip McGill, who is also Tohono O'odham, and again Mel Ortega, who is Tohono O'odham. But their presentation is based on language. And again, the theme for the 23rd annual Gila River Youth Conference is digitalizing traditions, socializing cultural realizations, possibilities. And the proposal, or that's before the four tribes, meaning at that time, was to gathering support to put that language on digital tools. So again, what's, if any, are you familiar with that proposal? Because again, we interviewed Mr. Cruz, and I know that he gave a presentation at one of the four tribes meeting asking for support. And again, they would have to get the support from the four O'odham tribes in order for this to move forward.
Well, I know it happens. I know Mr. Cruz personally. I haven't seen him for, oh God, something like 10, 15 years. I was with him, with the group when they had that cultural meeting there at the mountain by Santa Rosa, the other side of Santa Rosa, with was it the Japanese delegation that came over, I believe it was. And at the time, they were involved in a lot of AIM movement and those kinds of things. And they've moved on to other things. But as far as the culturalizing these things here, it's going to be kind of, I think, unless you have a lot of groundwork and a lot of videos and interviews with the elders particularly, who you have to go back to get that basic and come forward with those things that they hope to get out of this. It's a good idea, I believe, but getting it into writing is going to take some time and effort, but I do support the idea. I think it would be good. And of course, our tribes are still growing. They're still being born, and those youth, the younger ones, all along as they mature and grow up, they'll be interested in that history.
We were interviewing some of the youth who are here at this youth conference, and again, yesterday there was some discussion about uh, holding on to the language and traditions and culture. And I know that the youth were very supportive in the efforts of perhaps maybe this proposal would be something that would be important where youth could tap into so that again they could learn the O'odham language. And again, in Mr. Cruz's report, he gave statistics from age brackets who the language is gradually being lost, and even the elders who some of them no longer speak the O'odham language.
Yes. Well, you know, when I was going to school, I went to way back in the 40s, late 40s. I went to school in Tucson, Esquelin, and they used to wash our mouths with soap and a wash rag if they caught us talking Indian. And so I went through that era, but as the children now intermingle and get into the other areas, especially school, they're getting into public school, the Indian, whatever it be, Indian, Pima, Tohono O'odham, or whatever Apache, those languages are not spoken in the public schools. In fact, they discourage it, I believe, and they won't even entertain it in foreign languages. So if any efforts are made to preserve the language, that's my wife right over here, and we have 5 grandchildren, and they're little, from 2 to 11 and 12 now, and she talks Indian to them in the home. Now they understand those words, and like Pachukaduk is one of them that they don't mind. You know, she talks to them in Indian. They learn those words at home, and they understand, but they don't. Once in a while, they'll repeat it back to her, but there's not enough of that constant, everyday talking between her or other parents and the children. So it's going to be hard unless you concentrate on those little groups, and those little groups are not really enough to make it spread, to hold it, not lose it. And not only that, a lot of the words are the original way of saying words are kind of fading out too. There's a lot of slang that's used in it, especially the mixture of Mexican words, uh, like a little dog, Chiquito Gox. Where did that come from? Chiquito Gox, we say. Chiquito Gox in Mexican is little dog. So a lot of those words that we get from the Mexican language are in our Pima languages too, Tohono O'odham especially. Then it got over to Gila River to the Pimas. But there's different dialects which we're losing also. In Gila River, I know there's 4 dialects at least. The east, the Blackwater area around the Sacatone, Casablanca, and then Chichino area, we all have a little different dialect. And you can tell where they're from when you hear them talk. But we're losing that too because nobody talks it anymore. It's going to be hard to hang on to it, but if we can, whatever we can, hang on to or record or hopefully to teach in the schools. Brenda probably told you a good information on that because she's been involved in trying to teach and retain that Indian language and culture. But it's going to be hard, but I think it's worth every effort.
It's clear. It was clear to me yesterday, and even today, because we really wanted to know in terms of the support from the Gila River Indian community as far as the government, that in fact the youth that we spoke to spoke very highly of the government supporting the youth council in their efforts in holding all these youth conferences for after 23 some years.
Yes.
And also with the tribal leaders, some of the tribal leaders that we spoke to briefly. Governor, if I could, this is a question, an article that came out in the newspaper about a week ago in Tucson, breakdown on Indian gaming, quarterly report that I guess tribes have provided to the state of Arizona in terms of revenues that they paid out of gaming revenues to the state,
Right.
to the state of Arizona. It's up to like 24 point something $million that they have already paid into this quarterly. I know that given the discussion at one of the four tribes meeting where the Tohono O'odham Nation was looking at a fourth casino, and I know that you attended that meeting and you spoke in terms of your concern as far as the Tohono O'odham Nation pursuing a fourth casino in the Glendale area.
Right.
If you could, I know that there's been some litigation going on. If you could you just share in terms of where that is at as far as Gila River is concerned? Because again, I think it speaks to, because again, the tribes will have to renegotiate their compacts after this 20-year compact
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah. Well, you know, I go back to the basic law and agreement, which was a promise between the 17 gaming tribes. Now, the law that we entered into with the state says that, and it addresses the number of casinos that'll be on Gila River, Salt River, Tohono O'odham, and we agreed to that. We entered into an agreement on 202. And part of that, the biggest part of that agreement was that there will be no casinos off from reservations. We all agreed to that. And then the promise was made between the 17 gaming tribes that we would honor that and we would not break it. And that's where I get my strongest point from, because one time early in the game, maybe four years ago or so, we had a big meeting up in Fort McDowell, and the Apache Coalition, they came down to Fort McDowell and made a request to all of us, the gaming tribes, who were all there, if we would allow them to buy some land off from down this way, because you know where San Carlos and White Mountain are, they're way out there, and they're lucky if they catch some truck traffic, no customers. Right. So they wanted to buy some land down here, so closer to the municipal areas, and build their casino. And we cited this agreement and the law, and we said, no, we can't. If we let one do it, then others will want to do it. So they thanked us and they went away happy. They continued to come to the meetings. There was no further argument about it. But then the way this Tohono O'odham issue came out, just came out in the newspaper one day that they had already purchased that land, and they were going to put a mega casino over there. Now, I've stated from day one also myself, I have no problem with Tohono O'odham buying that land. It's good that they bought it, but I have a problem with the purpose, that is gaming, because we have an agreement. Okay, now they can put a mega mall or other kinds of businesses there and probably make just as much or close to as much as the gaming would bring to them. And then in 18 years or 17 years, whatever we got left now, then we can start negotiating that next compact season. But until that time is done, it ended up in court and everything else and misquotes. I'm not against Tohono O'odham buying that land. They don't have to pay tax on it once they get it in trust. But, you know, the comparable that I make to that is that Gila River, we bought about 200 and some acres on the Chandler Airport on the east side, Williams Airport Base. When it used to be a military and they turned it loose, then Gila River shared in purchasing about, I think it was 225 acres. We bought it cash outright, and I was on the council at that time, so I made my second motion to buy it, first motion to buy it cash. Second motion was to get it put into trust immediately. It took us 2 years to get it into trust. Now, we've had that land up there for 10, 15 years, about 12 years, I think, when I was on the council. And we've never brought up the idea of putting a casino over there.
Which brings me to my next question on putting land under trust is one status. Question on reservation status. What, if anything, are you familiar with how that process works?
Yeah, when you buy land, and I encourage the tribes to do it, if you buy land off state land or BLM, you buy it immediately, put in an application to get it in trust. The difference is that if you don't get it in trust, you're going to pay taxes on it. If you get it in trust, then the tribe don't pay taxes. That's the advantage.
Now, is there a issue with that, or a question in terms of when it comes to economic development? Is there something that prevents economic development either way once it becomes?
Only in this instance, only with gaming because of the law 202 law and our agreement.
So
that's the only issue.
My next question, so have you had any discussions with Tohono O'odham since then?
Well, we've had meetings here and there, the 4 tribes meetings. I didn't get to go to I think the last one they had was it was here, it was in Gila River. But I was here, but I didn't go to the last one in Tohono O'odham. I don't think I went to that one. But that's nothing to prevent. If they want me to go to a meeting, I'll go to a meeting.
Right. Well, Governor, is there anything else that you would like to share in reference to the Youth Council? And again, there was probably more than 200 to 300 youth that were sitting in the audience listening to all of the presenters and the keynote speakers that were there talking to the youth.
Well, I didn't bring it up in there, but the last 4 tribes meeting we had over at the casino there was a representative that you guys sent down from Tohono O'odham Youth Council. She was by herself. And when we called, I was chairing the meeting, when I called Tohono O'odham to come up, she got up and came up there by herself. And from the moment that she got on that mic, she started talking, and she went, never stopped. Just went straight through giving reports on different things that had been going on, youth council involvement, and the effect with the districts and everything. It was so great. She never stopped once, just went straight through her presentation. And then at the end, I was sitting there, and I told everybody, I said, man, I said, you know what? I said, this is what I was talking about a few years back. When I was a kid, you wouldn't see these kids getting up talking like that. But now the change that has come about through education and the support of the tribes in helping them to grow up, that young lady is going to be council or something else down there pretty soon. And I told her that's very good. I complimented her. I kept complimenting her through the meeting, but I was so impressed with her. But that's how you see the council now, the youth council. When I was a kid, kids would kind of shy away, nobody wanted to talk like that. And if you didn't, the kinds of clothes that kids wear now, if you dressed like that, when I was a kid, they'd call you a payasa, a clown or something, and make fun of you. But now they dress, it's everyday dress now. Things have changed, and our kids, our youth are right in there with them, equal.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Oh, I'm pleased to talk with you guys.
Okay, thank you very much.
And if you want me to come down and meet with you again or whatever, holler, I'll come down.
Okay.